Since we uploaded the video about human liver, a lot of you suggested to make a video about hepatitis. And this video is dedicated to this sickness. And we're going to talk about all 5 of them: Hepatitis A, B, C, D, and E. You might say, is it the whole alphabet? No, it's only 5. Hepatitis is a form of infection on your liver that could be very dangerous and even deadly. First, let's look at the word hepatitis. Hepatitis is a Greek word that is cut into 2 pieces. Hepat means liver, and itis means inflammation. So if you put these 2 together, it means liver inflammation. It's not really an inflammation, more like an infection that happens on the liver, and that's with different forms of virus, and that's what makes the different hepatitises. The virus that attack the liver, their only goal is to destroy liver cells. When a person gets hepatitis, the first signs you'll get is fever and feeling nauseous. After that, that's when the inflammation on the liver starts and it causes stomach pain. So how can you tell if your stomach ache, feeling nauseous, and fever is hepatitis? Blood tests. There are enzymes in your liver called transaminase, and when the virus of hepatitis is damaging your liver, this enzyme is gonna leak through your bloodstream, and in your bloodstream it shows how much transaminase is in there, and if it's too much, the person has hepatitis. If people don't take this seriously, this type of hepatitis can lead to jaundice, and the most obvious things you see when you get jaundice is yellow skin, and the white part of your eye turns yellow as well, and depending on how sick the person feels, it could get worse. Another way you could tell if your urine is extremely orange and not clear. This color of the urine doesn't have anything to do with the kidneys. It is the liver that causes the pee to be this color. Hepatitis is not always going to cause jaundice to happen, but if it is there, it could be a leading factor that the person has hepatitis. Doctors say the first 6 months a person has hepatitis, it's acute, and after 6 months, the disease turns chronic. When it turns chronic, that's when it's actually gonna be a threat and it could be dangerous. These are the same things you see in different types of hepatitis. But like we said, there's 5 different ones. You can only get hepatitis A with dirty water and food. And most of the time you see hepatitis A when someone travels overseas to somewhere where it has dirty food and water. A place like Makoko, Nigeria. Do you see this community? The people that live here do not even touch this water, let alone drink it, because they know they're gonna get sick if they even touch it. Hepatitis A, also known as HAV, don't mistake it with HIV. That's a different disease and we've made a video on it if you would like to see it. HAV will always remain acute in a person's system, so it doesn't turn chronic. Between the 5 hepatitis, Hepatitis E or HEV is the one that's closest to HAV. A person can only get HEV with dirty food and water, and the dirty food that could carry this disease is seafood that lived in dirty water. And just like HAV, HEV won't go chronic and stay acute. The biggest difference between hepatitis A and hepatitis E is that when a pregnant woman has either one, hepatitis E is much more dangerous for her, because when a woman is pregnant and gets HEV, it could cause liver failure. We said hepatitis A is known as HEV, hepatitis E is known as HEV, and hepatitis C is known as HCV. So you might say, why aren't we talking about B or D? Because those two have similarities that should be talked together. So let's talk about hepatitis C first. HCV or hepatitis C is very similar to HIV. It could only be received as a STD, dirty needle, or it could be passed down through birth. After 6 months, HCV goes chronic as well, and the only way you could diagnose hepatitis is with a blood test. Laboratories use different methods to figure out what type of hepatitis the person has, and all of them have different signs. So let's talk about hepatitis B, also known as HBV. Just like HBC, you could only receive HBV with sexual STDs, dirty needles, and through birth. HBV is quite dangerous for children under the age of 6. The older the person gets, the lower the chances of death there is. Hepatitis B is known as one of the worst hepatitis to catch. It does the most amount of damage to your liver, and it could even cause cancer to grow. The highest risk of liver cancer is hepatitis B in the world, and this could be seen in all ages. So what is HDV or hepatitis D? The only way HDV can be present if there is HBV in the system. So without hepatitis B, there won't be hepatitis D. Both HBV and HDV can enter the person's system at the same time and destroy the body. But there's another way you can get HDV, and that's if you already have HBV, and then HDV can just join. When these two hepatitis is inside your body, it's called a superinfection, and this is much more dangerous than having HBV by itself. More than 300 million people around the world have hepatitis, and most of them is HBV and HCV. 2/3 of the death caused by liver cancer is caused by hepatitis. And just like we said, the most common one is hepatitis B and C. So how is it possible to prevent this? It's actually quite simple. Clean yourself up. Don't drink contaminated water. Don't eat contaminated food. Don't swim in dirty water. Don't have unprotected sex with someone you don't know. If you have it, don't have a child. Stay away from dirty needles, dirty razor blades, or anything that could have contact with your blood. If you go to Central Africa or Southeast Asia, you have to be much more careful because hepatitis is seen more here than anywhere else. So if a person gets sick, what should they do and how can they fix themselves? All the hepatitis we mentioned can be controlled, especially all of them except hepatitis B. For the other ones, you could be prescribed medication, and when you take them for a few months, the hepatitis will leave your system eventually. But HBV is a little bit more complicated and more dangerous than the other one. HBV can be controlled and can leave your system, but there is a chance it could damage your liver before it's gone because it takes longer for it to leave your system. If all these diseases are not controlled before it's too late, they could damage your body forever, and it could cause liver cancer to grow.